What is up, everybody? We have the brand new episode of The Mandalorian. It just came out this Friday, and yes, we're late because we had to figure out how to make this video properly. It's the first episode, and right off the bat, we understood that this was a Western. It just screamed Western.
Yeah, it's going back to Star Wars as the roots as a space western. It's a space opera and also a space western. You got cantinas, you got gunslingers, you've got a beautiful desert setting. So I like that. Unlike other movies, Kafka, The Rise of Skywalker, this is going back to really the roots and the inspirations for what made Star Wars so great.
Yeah, absolutely. And the episode was really well written, well done. Right off the bat, we see Cobb Vanth in Boba Fett's armor, which we later see that he bought off the Jawas. And after that, they start to fight the Mandalorian and Cobb Vanth because Cobb Vanth is not a real Mandalorian.
Well, yeah, they sort of argue because Cobb Vanth doesn't want to give his precious armor up, which if I was wearing that armor, I wouldn't want to give it up because Boba Fett's armor is badass as hell. So you can't really blame the guy, but the Mando is not really having it. So
Yeah, and since the Mando is not having it, he demands that he take it off. And to prevent the fight, they both realize that they have a common enemy in a huge monster that is terrorizing the city.
it's a crate dragon, and that monster was indirectly introduced in A New Hope when there was a skeleton of this very creature in Tatooine. Now, back in A New Hope, Obi-Wan tried to scare off the Tusken Raiders by imitating the Krayt Dragon's call. So that was kind of hinting to the fan base how terrifying this thing is that even the Tusken Raiders, who are these terrifying savages, get freaked out by this thing. And we finally got to see it in live action. I think they did a really impressive job with rendering, how intimidating this creature was.
Yeah, absolutely. And the main thing that I thought about this episode was just that other than being well written, it had everything in it. It had a little bit of comedy. It had a lot of action. It had some really solid special effects, and it was just all round a good episode and a really good way for the Mandalorian season 2 to start off.
Certainly, it was a beautiful melting pot of genres, and it was a wonderful debut for this season. I'm looking forward to seeing how they might transcend the paradigm for future episodes. But I do want to acknowledge some limitations of this. First of all, the plot wasn't all that original. People team up against a monster. It's been done before. But then again, I like how they injected a bit of that Star Wars magic into the plot. Like, you get a little bit of flashbacks here and there. There are some cultural interactions, which we haven't really got to see before when it comes to the interaction between the Mandalorian, Cobb Vanth, and the Tusken Raiders. Because usually Tusken Raiders are portrayed as savages who don't really have a lot of empathy. But in this episode, uh, it was a lot more generous towards them, which was surprising.
For my critique, I didn't really like the fact that the monster was the main villain. As you can say in this episode, I would have preferred to be more true to the Western roots and kind of have maybe raiders who are terrorizing, or something more down to earth. Um, but it is silly. It is silly to discount the effort and the amazing CGI that was done there to create that monster, and the fact that the plot, and it ended up being a really good episode in total.
Definitely. The CGI, I did note that it was a little bit patchy at times, especially when the Mandalorian was arriving at Mos Pelgo. I wasn't sure if this was stylistic because the color scheme of that town seemed to become less white as the Mandalorian spent more time in it. Maybe that was a stylistic thing, but it is good to see that they are putting that $100 million budget to good use in many aspects of this episode.
Absolutely, you can tell from this episode that they got a big budget and they are not afraid to use it. And arguably the most notable part of the episode, and my personal favorite moment, was at the end when we got a cameo of the person who was supposed to be Boba Fett. Now, this segment of the video is for the cool things that you may have missed. Now, number one is that Gorkarish, who's a Cyclops alien in the ring that the Mando leaves hanging on a streetlight, mentions the Gotra. The Gotra is a kind of droid union based on Coruscant that was first mentioned in the Tarkin novel. However, the union consists of a bunch of pissed off battle droids who have known ties to all the crime syndicates. It's a nice touch that helps establish Gorkarish as a notable figure in the criminal underworld.
Number two, there's some really nice droid cameos as well. We got to see R5 again, who has already made an appearance in A New Hope and Chapter 5. Good for him for finally finding an owner who actually cares about him. The pit droids, or more specifically, the Dumb series pit droids, also return.
Number 3 is that Cobb Vanth's vehicle of choice looks to be a modified version of Anakin's pod racer, and unsurprisingly, it's really beat up. And on another note, Cobb Vanth might be the most prolific Star Wars stan of all time. This guy is cosplaying Boba Fett by wearing his actual armor and riding around on Anakin Skywalker's pod racer, all while tag teaming with Baby Yoda and the Mando.
Number 4, there's some awesome foreshadowing to Cobb Vanth's return to Mos Pelgo with Boba Fett's armor. And I really thought that it was impressive how the showrunners meticulously constructed the scene so that the ship forms a shape that's very similar to Boba Fett's helmet.
So number 5 is that the fruit that the Tuskens offer the sheriff is called a black melon, and it grows on the Junlan wastes of Tatooine. And Obi-Wan tried to sell them as a water replacement because Jabba the Hutt was stealing water from the local residents. They first appeared in the Obi-Wan comic called The Last of His Breed.
Number 6, while the object that the Tusken Raiders extracted from the dragon may have seemed like an egg, it was actually a Krayt Dragon pearl. Along with the Krayt Dragon itself, this item was prominently featured in the Knights of the Old Republic video game, where it could be used to construct a lightsaber in place of a kyber crystal. Let us know what your thoughts are on upcoming episodes of The Mandalorian.
If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts. By supporting this channel, you are allowing us to keep making this great content and keep Spectre React going. Thanks for watching, and peace out.